The ship that should not exist. The distress beacon had been silent for 3 weeks. Commander Elena Voss stood in the observation deck of the UNSC Prometheus, her reflection ghostly against the viewport. Beyond the reinforced glass, the derelict vessel hung in the void like a broken tooth, a massive structure that had no business existing this far beyond charted space. "Talk to me, Reeves," she said, her voice steady despite the cold knot forming in her stomach. Lieutenant Marcus Reeves worked his console with practiced efficiency, his dark eyes scanning streams of data that made less sense with every passing second. "Ma'am, I'm reading power fluctuations throughout the hull. Life support is active in scattered sections, but there's no pattern to it. It's like the ship is breathing." Elena didn't like that analogy. She'd been in space for 15 years, survived the Outer Rim conflicts, and pulled survivors from colony ships torn apart by pirates. Nothing in her experience had prepared her for this. The vessel before them was enormous, easily twice the size of their military cruiser. Its hull was a patchwork of human engineering and something else entirely. Organic-looking structures twisted through the metal framework like veins through flesh. Scanner data identified sections of the ship as definitely human-made, but other parts registered as unknown materials that seemed to shift molecular density when observed. "How long has it been drifting?" asked Dr. Sarah Chin, the mission's xenobiologist. She'd been quiet since they'd first detected the anomaly, her usual enthusiasm replaced by something Elena recognized as professional dread. 6 months, maybe longer, Reeves replied. The beacon was automated, standard UNSC emergency protocol. But here's what doesn't make sense. This ship isn't in any registry. It's using our technology, our codes, but according to every database we have, it was never built. Elena felt the temperature in the observation deck drop, though she knew that was impossible. The environmental systems were functioning perfectly. It was her body responding to a threat her conscious mind hadn't fully processed yet. "There's more," Reeves continued, his fingers hesitating over the controls. "I'm detecting biosigns. 3 of them. Human signatures, but they're wrong somehow. The readings fluctuate. One moment they register as normal, the next they're off the scale. Could it be equipment malfunction?" Elena asked, though she already knew the answer. "I've run diagnostics 4 times. Our systems are clean." Elena made her decision. Protocol dictated they should mark the location and return to Fleet Command for proper investigation. Protocol also dictated she couldn't ignore potential survivors, especially humans this far from home. And beneath all protocol was the simple truth that had driven humanity to the stars: curiosity mixed with a stubborn refusal to abandon their own. "Prep the boarding team," she ordered. "Full environmental suits, maximum armament. We go in cautious, we stay in contact, and at the first sign of anything truly wrong we pull out." "Understood." "Yes, ma'am," Reeves acknowledged, though his expression said he thought they were making a mistake. 2 hours later, Elena found herself in the deployment bay with her hand-picked team. Besides Reeves and Dr. Chin, she'd brought Sergeant James Morrison, a combat veteran who'd seen action in places that officially didn't exist, and Engineer First Class Dmitry Volkov, who could repair anything that ran on electricity or quantum mechanics. Morrison checked his rifle with mechanical precision. "Anyone else feel like we're walking into a horror show?" "Every time I leave the ship," Volkov replied with dark humor, though his hands trembled slightly as he secured his equipment harness. Dr. Chen was silent, her attention fixed on a portable scanner displaying the derelict's energy patterns. Elena noticed the scientist's jaw was clenched tight enough to crack teeth. "Chen, you with us?" The doctor looked up, and Elena saw genuine fear in her eyes, rare from someone who'd spent years studying alien microorganisms that could dissolve human tissue. "Commander, I need to tell you something. Those biosigns Reeves detected? I've been analyzing them. The fluctuations match a pattern I've only seen once before, in classified xenobiological studies. The kind of studies that get people disappeared if they talk about them." "What pattern?" Elena asked quietly. "Human physiology under extreme adaptive pressure. The kind that happens when our species is exposed to aggressive, transformative xenobiotic agents. Commander, whatever's on that ship, it's changing them." The deployment bay felt suddenly smaller, the air thicker. Elena looked at each member of her team, seeing the same calculation happening behind their eyes. They could abort. They could jump back to Fleet Command. They could let someone else deal with whatever nightmare waited in that twisted metal coffin. But they were human, and humans didn't survive by running from the dark. "Then we find them fast," Elena said, "and we bring them home." The airlock cycled open and they stepped into the unknown. The geometry of madness. The interior of the derelict was wrong in ways that defied immediate explanation. Elena's boots touched the deck plating with a hollow echo that seemed to travel too far, as if the corridor extended beyond what their helmet lights revealed. The air was breathable according to their sensors, but she kept her suit sealed. Some instincts ran deeper than data. "Stay tight," she ordered, her voice crackling through the team's communication system. "Morrison, take point. Volkov, watch R6. The corridor stretched ahead with walls that curved at angles that made her inner ear protest. Human construction, definitely. She recognized UNSC bulkhead design, standard military-grade materials. But between the familiar panels, something else grew. Crystalline structures that pulsed with faint bioluminescence, neither organic nor mechanical, spread across surfaces like frost patterns on a window. "Commander, I'm reading temperature variations," Reeves reported. 20 degrees Celsius here, but the adjoining section is showing -15. No logical reason for it. Life support should equalize throughout connected compartments. Dr. Chin knelt beside one of the crystalline formations, her scanner humming. "This is impossible," she whispered. "The molecular structure keeps shifting. It's like watching evolution happen in real time, but accelerated by a factor of thousands." "Is it dangerous?" Elena asked. "I have no idea. It's not organic in any sense I understand, but it's definitely alive. Or something close to alive." A sound echoed through the corridor, metal groaning or maybe something else. Morrison raised his rifle, tracking the darkness ahead. Movement. 60 meters, bearing 030. "Human?" Elena asked. "Can't confirm. Whatever it is, it's big." They advanced slowly, weapons ready, every nerve screaming warnings that evolution had spent millions of years perfecting. The corridor opened into what had once been a cargo bay, now transformed into something that belonged in a fever dream. The space was vast, but the walls didn't obey normal geometric principles. They curved inward and upward simultaneously, creating pockets of shadow that seemed deeper than they should be. The crystalline growth covered nearly everything, creating a cathedral of alien beauty that was magnificent and terrifying in equal measure. And there, suspended in the center of the bay by tendrils of that strange crystal, hung a human figure. "Contact!" Morrison shouted, but Elena raised her hand. "Hold fire." Dr. Chin, analysis. The scientist's scanner was going haywire, displays flickering with cascading data. "It's human. Female, approximately 30 years old. Vital signs are, Commander, she's alive. But her cellular structure is integrating with the crystalline matrix. I've never seen anything like this. She should be dead, but instead, she's transforming into something else." The figure's eyes opened. They were human eyes, brown and terrified and completely aware. The woman tried to speak, her mouth moving, but no sound emerged except a resonance that made the crystals around them vibrate in sympathy. Elena stepped forward, ignoring Morrison's protest. "Can you understand me? We're here to help. I'm Commander Voss, UNSC." The woman's expression shifted through emotions too fast to track. Hope, fear, anguish, something else that might have been ecstasy or agony. Then she spoke, and her voice came from everywhere at once, channeled through the crystalline structures surrounding them. "Run," she said, the word echoing with harmonics that human vocal cords couldn't produce. "It's waking up. You shouldn't have come. It wanted you to come." "What's waking up?" Elena demanded. "What is this place? The ship isn't a ship anymore. It's becoming something else. We thought we found it, but it found us first. It was waiting. Patient. So patient." The crystals flared brighter, and Elena felt something brush against her mind. A vast intelligence that regarded them with the same curiosity a human might show toward bacteria in a petri dish. "Fall back," she ordered. "Everyone out now?" But the cargo bay doors sealed with a hiss of hydraulics. Emergency lights bathed everything in red, and Elena realized they'd walked into exactly what the woman had warned about, a trap. Volkov was already at the door controls, his tools interfacing with the lock mechanism. "I need 2 minutes." "We might not have 2, Reeves said, pointing. From the shadows at the far end of the bay, something emerged. It had been human once. Elena could see remnants of a UNSC uniform, patches of skin, a human face locked in an expression of transcendent horror. But the rest was wrong. The crystalline growth had consumed most of the body, transforming it into a hybrid creature that moved with fluid grace despite its fractured geometry. "Second contact," Morrison announced, his rifle tracking another figure emerging from a different shadow. "Third contact. Fourth. Commander, we're surrounded." Elena counted 6 figures, all in various stages of transformation. Some still looked mostly human. Others were barely recognizable. But all of them had the same expression, not malevolence but in desperate need to communicate something. The woman suspended in the center spoke again, her voice breaking with emotion. We tried to resist. Fought for days. But it doesn't want to hurt you. It wants to uplift you. It thinks it's helping. It thinks it's giving humanity a gift. What kind of gift? Dr. Chen asked, though her scanner was already providing horrifying answers. Immortality. Unity. Connection to something greater than ourselves. But the price is everything that makes us human. Our individuality. Our isolation. Our beautiful, terrible freedom to be alone. The transformed figures moved closer, not threatening but converging with purpose. Elena saw it then, the intelligence behind their movements, the alien consciousness piloting bodies that had once housed human souls. Volkov time, she barked. 30 seconds. Morrison fired a warning shot, the plasma bolt striking the deck plating. The transformed humans didn't flinch. One of them raised what had been a hand, now a complex structure of crystal and flesh, and the temperature in the bay dropped 30 degrees in an instant. It's learning from us, Dr. Chen said with horrified awe. Every second we're here it's adapting. Understanding. Commander, we need to leave before it learns enough to follow us back to the Prometheus. The door cycled open. Volkov had never worked faster in his life. Move. Elena ordered and they ran. What humanity carries. They didn't stop running until they reached the airlock connecting to the Prometheus, but Elena knew distance meant nothing here. Whatever inhabited the derelict operated on principles that laughed at physical barriers. Seal it, she commanded as soon as the last team member crossed the threshold. Full lockdown protocol. Volkov, I want triple redundancy on every system between us and that thing. The engineer was already working, his fingers flying across emergency override controls. Commander, we need to jump. No. Put light years between us and whatever that was. But Elena wasn't listening. She was watching Dr. Chen, who had collapsed against the airlock wall, her scanner still clutched in shaking hands. The scientist's face had gone pale, and her eyes held the look of someone who'd glimpsed something fundamental about the universe and wished desperately to forget it. Chen, report. I got samples, the doctor whispered. When we were in the bay. Trace particles of the crystalline structure. Commander, it's not alien. Not originally. What are you talking about? Dr. Chen looked up, and Elena saw tears streaming down her face. The base molecular patterns are human. Our DNA, our cellular architecture, but evolved. Perfected. This isn't an invasion, it's a metamorphosis. That thing didn't come from outside. It came from us. From something we became or will become or could become. I don't know which, but the timeline doesn't matter. What matters is that it's our future trying to rewrite our present. The implications hit Elena like a physical blow. You're saying we did this to ourselves? No. Yes. Maybe. Time doesn't work the way we think it does, not at the quantum level. What if this is humanity's evolutionary endpoint, reaching backward through causality to ensure its own existence? What if we're looking at what we're destined to become, and it's trying to help us get there faster? That's insane, Morrison said, but his voice lacked conviction. Reeves was at his station monitoring the derelict. Commander, we have a problem. The ship is moving. Coming about on an intercept course. And it's accelerating impossibly fast. Physics shouldn't allow that mass to maneuver like that. How long until it reaches us? 12 minutes. Elena's mind raced through scenarios, each one worse than the last. They couldn't outrun it. Their jump drives needed 30 minutes to charge. They couldn't fight it. What weapons did you use against something that violated the laws of physics? They couldn't negotiate with something that thought forced evolution was a gift. But humans hadn't conquered the stars by accepting impossible situations. Volkov, can you rig our reactor to overload? The engineer's eyes widened. Yes, but Commander? A localized detonation. Enough to cripple that ship but not destroy it completely. By time for a distress beacon to reach Fleet Command. That would require us to stay here, Reeves said quietly. To manually trigger the detonation at optimal range. The timer systems wouldn't be precise enough. I know. Silence filled the bridge, heavy with the weight of what Elena was proposing. They all understood what it meant. Someone had to stay behind. Someone had to ensure humanity got a warning about what waited in the dark. Dr. Chen stood, her composure returning with visible effort. Commander, there's another option. The crystalline structure responds to human consciousness. It's why the transformations happened. It was trying to interface with human minds. But what if we could use that against it? How? Feedback. Sensory overload. Humans process reality differently than the intelligence controlling that ship. Our messy, contradictory, irrational human consciousness might be toxic to something that thinks in pure geometric perfection. If I could introduce a carrier signal through our communication arrays, encode it with human neural patterns at maximum intensity, you'd be using our minds as a weapon, Elena finished. More like a virus. It would hurt us, maybe cause permanent neural damage. But it might hurt that thing more. Morrison checked his rifle, a grim smile on his face. I've been hurt before. Always healed. Let's give that thing a taste of what it means to mess with humans. Elena looked at her crew, exhausted, terrified, but absolutely refusing to surrender. This was what the aliens didn't understand about humanity. Not just their resilience or ingenuity, but their fundamental stubbornness. Humans looked at impossible situations and said, "Not good enough." "Do it," Elena ordered. "Chin, prep your signal. Everyone else, I need you to focus on the most intensely human thoughts you can manage. Memories, emotions, everything that makes us messy and beautiful and completely insane. We're going to show that thing why humanity doesn't get assimilated." The derelict was 6 minutes out when Dr. Chen activated the carrier wave. Elena felt it immediately, a pressure inside her skull like her brain was expanding. She focused on memories, her daughter's first steps, the taste of real coffee, the sound of rain on Earth, the rage she'd felt when pirates killed her crew, the love she'd shared with people who were gone now. Every contradictory, illogical, perfectly human experience. Around her the crew did the same. She could see Morrison gritting his teeth, tears streaming down his face as he channeled decades of combat trauma and survivor's guilt. Volkov was laughing and crying simultaneously, flooding the signal with every moment of joy and terror his life had contained. Reeves was silent, but his hands gripped his console with white-knuckled intensity. Dr. Chin stood at the center of it all, her scanner modified into a transmission array, channeling their collective consciousness into a weapon. The derelict ship shuddered. On their screens, Elena watched as the crystalline structures began to crack. The perfect geometric patterns twisted and broke, unable to process the chaotic signal of human thought. The ship's acceleration faltered, its impossible physics breaking down under the assault of pure, concentrated humanity. "It's working," Reeves shouted. "The ship is destabilizing." But Elena could feel the cost. Her vision blurred. Blood trickled from her nose. Around her, the crew was suffering similar symptoms, the price of weaponizing their own consciousness. The derelict began to break apart, pieces of its hybrid structure shedding into the void. The intelligence controlling it screamed across frequencies humans weren't meant to hear, a sound of incomprehension and pain. It had never encountered anything like humanity before, a species so fundamentally irrational that their very thoughts were poisoned to perfection. Dr. Chin collapsed, the transmission array sparking and dying. Elena caught her as the scientist fell, cradling her head. Did it work?" Chin whispered. Elena looked at the view screen. The derelict was dead, dark and broken, drifting in fragments. But she knew this wasn't over. This had been one ship, one instance of whatever humanity might become. Somewhere in the vast darkness of space there would be others. "It worked," Elena confirmed. "You saved us." "We saved us," Chin corrected, her smile weak but genuine. "That's what humans do." 3 days later, the UNSC Prometheus limped into Fleet Command, its crew battered but alive. Elena's report would be classified, buried under layers of security that ensured most of humanity would never know what waited in the dark. But those who needed to know would understand the message. Humanity's strength wasn't perfection. It was their magnificent, terrible, beautiful mess of contradictions. It was their ability to love and hate simultaneously, to be terrified and brave in the same moment, to make completely illogical decisions that somehow worked. The universe was vast and full of wonders and horrors beyond comprehension. But nothing out there was quite prepared for what happened when you cornered a human and gave them no good options. They'd find a way anyway. As Elena stood in the debriefing room, watching admirals and scientists argue about implications and protocols, she thought about the woman suspended in that crystalline cathedral. About the choice between individual imperfection and collective transcendence. Humanity had chosen. They'd chosen chaos over perfection, messy freedom over harmonious unity. They'd chosen to remain human with all the pain and beauty that entailed. And if that future evolution came calling again, trying to reshape humanity into something better, it would learn the same lesson. Humans didn't evolve when told to. They evolved on their own damn terms.